Are you looking for spring break destinations to visit with your family? If so, you're in the right place. I'm Emily, I'm a travel content creator and a mom of four, and I share travel destinations all around the US and internationally that we visited with our family. But today we're going to focus specifically on places that would make awesome spring break getaways with your family, whether that's a warm beachy destination, a desert adventure, or something in between. We're just a normal school family. We live in Wisconsin, so by the time it's March or April, it's still very much winter here in Wisconsin. I personally need a destination where I can at least let some sunshine on my skin. But I know what it's like to have kids on a regular school schedule, and spring break is the only time you can get away. So I'm going to share some of my top destinations that we have visited on spring break, or that we visited a different time but I think would still make an excellent spring break destination. Hopefully you'll be able to find something that you and your family will love. All right, let's jump right in. My first suggestion for a spring break with family is to road trip through the Florida Keys. If you want a tropical island feel but you're not ready to take an international spring break, this is the perfect option for you. As a former Florida resident, I can attest to the fact that this part of the state feels completely different with its island vibes and laid-back pace of life than the rest of the state. One of my favorite places to go in the United States with our family. I suggest flying into Miami or Fort Lauderdale, renting a car and driving through Homestead, maybe exploring a bit of Miami, and then exploring the upper Keys like Key Largo, where you can stop for some conch fritters at Alabama Jack's, and Isla Morada, where you can feed the tarpon at Robbie's Marina, which is one of the highlights of our trip. We also loved staying at Hadley House in Isla Morada, which had rooms that could fit our entire family of 6, and we loved the location. We ended up staying in Key West and found plenty of family-friendly activities, including Ernest Hemingway's house, seeing the southernmost point in the continental United States, riding the trolley, and even spending a day at Dry Tortugas National Park. There are some amazing beaches in Key West, including Smathers Beach and Fort Zachary Taylor Historic State Park. And don't forget to attend the sunset celebration at Mallory Square each night, where there are live performers and food and beverages. My second family spring break suggestion is to fly into Las Vegas and rent a car to road trip to see all the beautiful state and national parks in the area. Death Valley National Park is located in California, but is only a 2-hour drive away from Las Vegas. We loved hiking Golden Canyon, and we watched sunset at Badwater Basin, which is a salt flat that is the lowest point in the continental United States. We watched the sunrise at the sand dunes, and then we drove through Artist Palette to see the pastel-colored rocks. Zabriskie Point is another beautiful area to witness the sunrise or sunset. We spent 2 days in Death Valley, and then we drove back to Las Vegas, where we got to see 7 Magic Mountains out in the desert at sunset. We saw Red Rock Canyon and did some road tripping around this beautiful park, but our favorite day was visiting Valley of Fire State Park. There are beautiful reddish-orange rocks, you can see rock formations, walk through slot canyons, and just see some epic desert scenery. This was easily our favorite park of the trip. We also spent 1 day exploring Las Vegas, taking a picture by the Welcome to Las Vegas sign, seeing the Bellagio fountains, visiting some of the hotels and resorts and seeing the cool lobbies, and of course visiting the M&M store. It was one of our favorite budget-friendly, uncrowded spring breaks. My third suggestion is a warm and tropical destination, and that's Puerto Rico. It doesn't require a passport for US citizens, but you still get the feel of being on a tropical island. We loved exploring colorful Old San Juan and took a day trip to El Yunque National Forest, the only tropical rainforest in the US park system. We also drove out to the West Coast and stayed a few days there, and we saw places like Rincon, visited Sandy Beach, had dinner at Villa Cofresi for drinks out of coconuts, and we visited the Cabo Rojo Lighthouse, and we saw the cliffs there, which were truly breathtaking. This trip was the perfect combination of warm weather, relaxation, and adventure. In San Juan, we stayed at the Hyatt Place because we were able to book rooms for 12,000 points a night that actually fit an entire family of 6 in one standard room. We loved that it had this great pool with a tiny water slide, free continental breakfast, and a free shuttle to Old San Juan and Escambron Beach. On the West Coast, we stayed in a really unique Airbnb in the remote town of Mocha that was an easy drive to some of the more popular beaches. We loved the privacy and solitude here after being in busy, loud Old San Juan. Side note, the pina colada was invented in Puerto Rico, so be sure to go to Barra China. It's a restaurant where the pina colada was believed to be invented, and you can even get virgin pina coladas for the kids to try. Suggestion number 4 for a spring break trip with kids is San Diego, California. You can start in Carlsbad by visiting Legoland, California. I would highly recommend staying in the Castle Hotel with kids and then spend a day visiting the Legoland theme park, which is super fun and kid-friendly. All of my kids loved it. Of course, you have to visit the world-famous San Diego Zoo when you're there, take a double-deck bus tour of the zoo, and then walk around and see whichever animals you didn't see on the tour. You can also take the Skyliner to get from one end of the park to the other. Stop at Balboa Park for tons of museums and artsy areas, and then go to the USS Midway Museum. It's actually located on the USS Midway aircraft carrier and is such a fun activity for kids who love planes. Go to La Jolla to see the sea lions in the wild. This was our favorite activity of the entire trip. It was so fun to see the sea lions in their natural habitat. Birch Aquarium is another fun stop you can make if you're in the La Jolla area. San Diego was still a little chilly in the 60-degree range when we visited, so we made sure to add on a trip to Palm Springs to get some sunshine. We took the Palm Springs aerial tramway up to the top of the mountain, and the views were incredible because we timed it right around sunset. Also hiked Palm Canyon, and it was this beautiful oasis of palm trees in the desert. You can also do some shopping or eat at some restaurants, and then be sure to stop at the Cabazon Dinosaurs on your way back to the airport. Spring break idea number 5 is actually located in the Midwest, where it is still very much winter, so the best place to go is Wisconsin Dells, the water park capital of the world. So many indoor water parks and hotels to choose from. Mount Olympus is probably the most affordable option and still very fun. My kids also really liked the Los Rios indoor water park located at Chula Vista Resort. The African safari-themed Kalahari Resort is another great option for families with spacious rooms. They have a fun tomfooleries adventure park and arcade. And of course, the indoor water park portion of the resort is incredible, and there's so many activities for big kids, little kids, grown-ups, and babies and toddlers. Our personal favorite of all the resorts, though, was Great Wolf Lodge. We felt like it had the best theming and had the most activities for kids included in the stay, especially if you book the Paw Pass as part of your stay. We went mining for gems, we rode the rides at the water park, we even got to go trick-or-treating because this was around Halloween during our visit. We also played games at the arcade, did a morning yoga class, and even participated in Magic Quest with magic wands and riddles to solve. If you need a break from water parks, be sure to take the Upper Dells boat tour. It opens in March. It's one of the only ways to see Witch's Gulch, this eerie slot canyon along the Wisconsin River. You can also stop by Wisconsin Deer Park to feed the deer and feel like a Disney princess. My 6th spring break destination idea is Washington, D.C. We visited right at the beginning of April and got so lucky with a few 80-degree days. We just missed the cherry blossoms, but there were so many other beautiful spring blooms to enjoy while we were there. One reason Washington, D.C. makes a perfect spring break destination for families is that almost all of the museums, monuments, and memorials are free to visit. You could spend a few days here, or you could easily combine this city with a few other East Coast big cities. Bigger families like ours, there is a Hyatt Place that's within walking distance of the downtown area and all of the memorials you would want to visit. My 7th and last spring break destination within the United States is Fort Myers, Sanibel, and Captiva Island. Sanibel Island is a barrier island that's actually perpendicular to the coastline of Florida, and it acts as a scoop, so it has some of the best seashells in the state of Florida. Bowman's Beach on Sanibel Island is a great place to collect shells with kids. Would highly recommend renting or chartering a boat to see dolphins swimming in the wake and to visit some of the more uninhabited barrier islands around Sanibel and Captiva. If you base yourself in Fort Myers, I would highly recommend staying at Pink Shell Resort. The resort has a naturalist that offers nature walks along the beach at sunrise and sunset to help you find some incredible shells and to learn more about sea life like sand dollars, fighting conch, and crabs and birds. They have a great family-friendly pool that's heated on cold days. They also have a separate adults-only pool if you want a little bit of peace and quiet. You can rent a jet ski, you can go kayaking, rent a golf cart to go visit Fort Myers Beach, do poolside activities like making tie-dye t-shirts, or you can just sit inside and play games in this beautiful lobby. The hotel has free continental breakfast, and it also has a few great restaurants on property to choose from. One last fun thing to do in Fort Myers with kids is to visit the Mound House Museum, where you can learn about the Calusa Indians and even try out some of the tools that they used to use. While this video is mostly focused on spring break destinations in the USA, I'm also going to share 3 quick international getaways that you might enjoy. Costa Rica is the perfect spring break getaway, as this is some of the driest and warmest weather you can experience. Go ziplining with your kids, enjoy views of the Arenal volcano in La Fortuna, and go on a guided tour where you can even see sloths in the wild. After your time in La Fortuna, head over to the west coast of Costa Rica for some incredible beach towns. We loved spending time on the beach as a family, but we also did activities like horseback riding on the mountains and on the beach, and taking a tour on a catamaran to see dolphins in the wild as well. We saw hundreds of dolphins, and it was really the highlight of our trip. Another great international destination that's not too far from the United States is Guatemala. You can see ancient Mayan ruins, active volcanoes, and the deepest lake in Central America. Head to Lake Atitlan and you can take these lancha speedboats to visit the villages all around the lake. Panajachel is the biggest and most popular, but we really liked San Juan La Laguna. You can also use these tuk-tuks to get around if a destination is a little bit too far of a walk away. Go ziplining in Panajachel with the whole family. We even took our 4-year-old and the grandparents, and it was such a fun family activity. Next, go to Antigua, Guatemala, and you could take a day trip to climb an active volcano. This is Pacaya Volcano, which we climbed with our kids, and we were able to roast marshmallows from the steam of the volcano at the top. This was another epic activity with kids. Of course, we also enjoyed the epic, iconic Yellow Arch and just wandering around this UNESCO World Heritage Site city. The final stop was Tikal National Park to see the ancient Mayan ruins, and we stayed at a luxury boutique hotel in the jungle. Also took a private guided sunset tour of Tikal, and it was so interesting to learn about the history and watch the sunset from on top of a Mayan pyramid. My final suggestion for international destinations is Belgium. We flew into Brussels and took a trip to Bruges. We also took a side trip to Ghent, and both of those were absolute fairy tale cities, and the weather was fairly moderate. We also took a day trip to Dinant, which was absolutely stunning. We also took an overnight trip to Amsterdam and saw a few things there. Even took a guided group bus tour, which was just a day trip out and back to Luxembourg, and it was really fun to check that country off our list and see how beautiful and charming it is. I hope this gave you some great ideas for your next spring break trip with kids, but let me know in the comments, what destinations would you add to where to visit next on spring break with kids?